Oh man, listen. I told you guys. Listen, let me be clear today. Excuse me, Camo. Excuse me. But you know, as much as we have tried to downplay the suspiciousness of this whole Tory Lanez Megan Thee Stallion shooting, you know, one can't deny that it's somewhat awkward that they have been so messy and just so over the top with the exuberance exhibition of what's going on with this situation. You know, again, a few months ago, I did a video about the WAP video and how I felt like the whole shooting was pretty much just a label-generated situation that was going to catapult the buzz of Megan Thee Stallion to be able to be at the top of the game. And now, listen, I know that GQ isn't the #1 speaker for the culture, but the fact that she got Rapper of the Year when you have artists like Rhapsody and others that are really speaking on what's going on with the black community in general, with Black Lives Matter in general, and for some reason GQ decided that this girl that talks about twerking and how what her pussy is the most lucrative message that a rapper could possibly be taken on. And surely, of course, that's because they want to sell they want to sell magazines, and they want to get clicks. And that in light is the problem. But we'll tackle that at the end of the video. Now, for now, we really just want to focus on the music, and we don't really want to tackle the conspiracy stuff too much, although Megan makes that kind of hard, because even though I think that the strongest comparison to her at this point, where I think a lot of people expected this album to have a ton of features, and rightfully so, making her kind of be like the female French Montana without the hook game, you know, there is one thing absolutely clear and undisputed about Megan Thee Stallion, and that is that she can absolutely rap her ass off. She's a great rapper. Now, in her Savage project, they started to showcase some signs of wanting to explore where her voice could go sonically and what fans were willing to accept and take to. Unfortunately, none of those records, where she was trying to diversify what she does on a record, actually caught on. This record, again, she does that once again, which I can appreciate, because as an artist myself and as a creative, you never want to be pigeonholed into this thing where you feel where fans and people in general see you as somebody that is dependent on other artists to generate your own buzz and your own music. Now, again, like I said, I want to get back to the music. I don't want to focus on the conspiracy. Unfortunately, the first 3 records on this project really this is strictly about the Tory Lanez situation, which is unfortunate, because even though this is Megan Thee Stallion's debut album, which, by the way, it's like her 3rd debut album, you know, you would want her to really start to evoke the attention of her true fans and start telling us more about her, who she is, and what her life is about. After all, you know, she is signed to Rock Nation, which somehow went from a artist that thrived on bringing his fans in with his story and his struggle and his come up, to now him signing artists like Uzi and Megan Thee Stallion. For me, I was born in Houston, you know, and Megan Thee Stallion is from Houston. So I do have an affinity for Texas, and I want to see her succeed. I think she's very talented, and obviously she comes from a generation that's just kind of socially turbulent. They don't know if they want to be this or if they want to be that. However, you know, in the record in itself, like I said, you know, you do start off kind of on the wrong foot with a Who Shotcha record, one of many remakes. You know, I remember a few years back when all the new artists, Lil Yachty and all these people, were trying to shit on 90s hip hop, and now literally 4 out of 5 songs that hit major streaming services and make it big are actually 90s remakes. So, you know, at some point you have to really look back and say, and that's not to say that there isn't great music now. I just think that a lot of people, because what's actually pushed out by the media and by a lot of entities is the dumbed down, ignorant, ratchet shit, and not the uplifting, positive, and progressive music, then what you get is you get an audience that is somewhat stagnant and kind of at a standstill, because they can't quite elevate their way of thinking and what they perceive to be reality. Don't you hate when you hold think the album could have started with that, and then maybe people wouldn't be instantly reminded of the Tory Lanez situation, and we can move forward as opposed to start to circle back around, which is kind of the point of the song. And in the process of all of this, Megan has been very vocal about wanting to move forward. So again, I'm just shocked that she started this album with Shots Fired, where she basically takes us back through the last 3 months of what's been going on. But with Circles, I think she does go into a more positive and fun vibe, which is where I think she thrives for the most part. Crybaby is a kind of annoying new cut with this that I wasn't really too much of a fan of. The Baby and her have had better records, so to put something out that isn't better, or at least equivalent to what you've had out before, is kind of a shot in the foot, pun intended. Sugar Baby, another remake of Boosie, of a Boosie record. Again, it's okay, but I would love for them to revamp these records and actually make them different, and not just give us the same exact record with just a different artist. This is what mixtapes are for. Movie, you get a little Durk feature, and honestly, I'm a fan of Durk. I'm a fan of who he is. I'm a fan of what he represents, but you guys have to be honest with yourselves. Lil Durk's music just is not hitting. After his first record that hit big and actually put him on the scene, Lil Durk has had a very hard time actually generating any music that actually was relatable and attached to people in a very big and universal way. Even being on a Drake record, even that record didn't really maximize its potential because its feature was really nobody that really people took to. And although, like I said, I want to see Lil Durk succeed, and I think he's already succeeded beyond his wildest dreams, I don't believe that he's making music or is going to make music or even has the image to really carry the load that the industry is trying to put on him. Freaky Girls with SZA is another record that I like, but again, it falls short from being even remotely close to the original. And even though I love the Adina Howard original Freak Like Me, this one doesn't match the tempo, it doesn't match the vibe, and listen, I love SZA's voice, and I think this record actually has tons of commercial potential, but for me, as somebody who knows the original, it's kind of a turn off because, again, like I said, I don't believe that it's equivalent or better than the original one. Now, from that point on, we do get the first run of Megan Thee Stallion solo records, which, again, like I said before, I do appreciate that she did this and that she's willing to take these risks to do this, but Body, this, I think a lot of times there's a couple places on this record that I felt that it would have been better just to have another feature. And I know that that's probably what she doesn't want, because she doesn't want to be cornered as this artist that is dependent on features. After that, we get Intercourse and Go Crazy, both which I think are maybe some of the best records on this album that we hadn't heard previous to its release. I think Big Sean kills this verse. And I do think that Popcan, even though he has some super weird, disturbing lines such as, and I do kind of feel like this is one of the really good records, and I love some reggae music, so that's always a good vibe. After that, we get a record that sounds like the label is pushing Megan to do something a little risque here, to tap into maybe the pop section. I really am going to discourage you, Megan, from doing anything that remotely rolls into pop. I would do feature verses, and that's it, because obviously there's such a big market for that. But you particularly doing a record that represents the pop sound and trying to do that crossover stuff is only going to damage your bottom line and kind of turn off your current fan base, because like you said, you are not for the streets, you are the streets. You cannot be tapping into pop sounds and expect the streets to go with you. Now, of course, the album, like many of these albums that roll out, I just don't understand the sequencing of it. I don't understand how Savage, Girls in the Hood, and Don't Stop end up as the last records on the album. I'm sure you wanted to generate attention on the other records people hadn't heard, but at the end of the day, you rolled these out as singles for a reason. You felt like these were the strongest records on the album. So to put them at the bottom of the album is only going to deter your fan base's ability to enjoy this, because these are are records that not only do they know, but they love. Megan will continue to seek success because the powers that be, which is Rock Nation and the people that are behind her, are way too powerful for her to fail. Megan consistently talks and brags about how she's finishing school and she's a student and she's doing that while pursuing, her rap career, which I think is amazing. But we don't hear about this on this album, not one single time. And that, to me, is a huge tell on where the priorities of the label are, on where the priorities of the artists are, and where they feel is most important. And of course, and unfortunately, in a capitalist country, it's about the money and not about the message or the influence that you are providing for your fans, your fan base, and your followers and fanatics. And that, my friend, is literally the definition of a culture vulture. I know we've talked about this before, and I'm not saying that that's what she is, but she does work and is signed to a label that functions in such way. All in all, Good News is a great album. If you like Megan Thee Stallion's music, you're gonna love this album, and there's plenty of this, and I appreciate that she didn't give us 25 records, and she left it at 17, where it's manageable, and there's records on there that we already know, love, and have danced or fucked to or whatever. But all in all, I think the album does deliver, although I don't feel like it's good enough for the rapper of the year and the representation of her debut album should be. There's literally practically no personal information on this thing outside of who shot ya, and even that. This is Ramble Hustle with the Hip Hop Report. I appreciate you checking in. Make sure you check out some of the other videos. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment. Let us know what you thought about Good News.